I wanted to actually step into the role of teaching and empower people to not just go and pay someone else, but to learn how to do these things that are going to be transformational to your business. And that's when I made the shift to actually teaching, no more done for you, straight coaching and consulting, and people have loved it, and my results have been phenomenal. For entrepreneurs who have an established business, but they're on burnout or they don't know where to go, distraction is typically their biggest bottleneck. So the reason why people don't get ahead is because they lack focus. So in a sense, people are unclear. They don't know where they want to go. They just want to make money, and they want to make an impact, and they want to have a great life for their family. So that is definitely a big wound for a lot of entrepreneurs. Simplicity is going to trump complexity every time. So don't worry about the funnels or the bots or anything where you're trying to automate like your time and energy. Right now, you need to roll up your sleeves and do the work.
And that's next on Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. So, the big question is this. How are ambitious people like us, who don't have a lot of resources, did not go to Ivy League colleges, were not born into wealth, how do we become resourceful enough, use our creativity, our dedication, and a little bit of crazy to bootstrap our way to realizing our dreams? Whether it is launching a new company, launching a new app, or making it to the top of the corporate ladder? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. Hey listeners and viewers, we have created a tremendous community of bootstrappers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are ambitious, resourceful, and want to get things done. We brainstorm, support, and help each other out. Come join us, navigate to Bootstrapping. If you like this video, do not forget to hit that like button now. Or if you want us to improve our content, go ahead and hit the thumbs down button and give us your feedback in the comment section below. Here at Tetranoodle, we are passionate about entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. Every week, we bring you insightful and engaging interviews, tips, tricks, and strategies to help you grow your business or rise in your corporate profession. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And do not forget to hit that bell icon so that you are notified when we publish new content. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. I'm your host Manuj Aggarwal, and today we'll be talking with a very special guest, Jessica Yarbrough. So Jessica is a business growth strategist and sales and marketing consultant. She has worked with hundreds of professionals to get real results in their businesses, from creating branding, messaging, marketing, and sales systems. She was inspired by her lifelong journey of stepping into her true power and becoming the boss of her business and her life. From a high-powered corporate woman in the startup world headed for burnout, to traveling yogi backpacking around the world, to struggling single mom, to finally rediscovering magic and building a global brand and successful business. Through her journey, she became a business consultant. She really went big and realized that you can have it all: the money you deserve, the impact you desire, and the freedom to work when you want and from anywhere in the world. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Awesome. That's great. So as I said earlier before the interview, I've been hearing about you, and you've made tremendous progress in your career. So congratulations. Now, so that we can sort of get to know your journey, can you take us down the memory lane and tell us about your adventures around the globe, backpacking and all that, and how you became you went from there to who you are today, helping a lot of businesses and growing your own business as well?
Yeah, well, my background was in marketing. I managed multiple companies. I actually built a startup company here in San Diego and loved the mission of the company. Loved literally walking into a company where we didn't even have computers, and then building it to a global company in a very short amount of time with connections and partners all around the world. So that was really exciting. But, in a startup world, a month is really a week. That you have to do things, and there's a lot of high pressure to generate funds and to get the investors their return. And so it was a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and a lot of long hours. And I really was headed for burnout. I was quite young, but just kind of going. And I took a vacation to Thailand actually, and had just some time away to really reflect on my life and the path that I was on. And of course that would have led me to success. But during that time, I also was able to see a new path open up before me, one that allowed me to do it really on my terms. So as much as I love my company, I didn't love, being limited by how many weeks of vacation I could take or how much money I could even make. And that's the reality of the majority of jobs out there. So I quit my company and I did something that was totally crazy that I wanted to do for years. And that was to just travel the world. So I sold everything, put about 13 pounds of stuff onto a backpack, and I bought a one-way ticket back to Southeast Asia. And I spent 4 years traveling. Wow. And, I actually ended up becoming a yoga teacher, and I thought, I'm never going back into the business world. And that was my journey for then. And I have great stories, and I was able to see things that most people never see in their life. So it was a very magical time. And I went full in on a yoga teaching career. Mm-hmm. And then I got pregnant with my daughter. I was 32, single mom. Oh my gosh, Jessica, you got to make some real money, and we're not going to do that as a yoga teacher. And going back into the corporate world really wasn't an option. I didn't want to give up the freedom of time and flexibility. So I literally built my business from the ground up, very struggled for a long time. It was very hard, into actually finding success and having an international training and coaching company where I serve clients from all over the world. So it's been an amazing journey. And it's funny how you start one place and then you kind of circle back to where you began, but on your terms. So
yeah, that's great. So yeah, I mean, one good lesson that comes out as you said it, like you really gotta go out there, experience different things to figure out what exactly you want to do, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So was there any turning point, aha moment, like, I guess you got pregnant, so you wanted to build a company. Like at that point, were you clear on exactly what you wanted to do, or did you brainstorm? Or
yes, I don't think I wasn't crystal clear around everything. All I know is that I consulted before. Mm-hmm. I built a company. Even when I landed in Thailand, I ended up picking up consulting work, which is, how did that happen, right? Mm-hmm. So I know that was something I can always fall back on. It's something that I'm great at. And so obviously I went back into the one thing that I was great at, which was, I was a great yoga teacher as well, but that's something that would really create the lifestyle that I knew I wanted my daughter to have. And so I started doing done for you marketing work. And everybody wants things done for them. So that's kind of an easy entry market for somebody trying to either exit the corporate or create a side hustle, is kind of to do the model of doing things for people. Mm-hmm. But after doing that for a couple of years, number one, you're limited on your income unless you have an agency, mm-hmm. because you only have so many hours in a week. Yeah. So you're going to cap out. You're going to say, okay, the only way I'm going to make more money is if I do 60 or 70 hours, which is not what you want to do. So and also it's behind the scenes. So I didn't get to stand in the light of the teacher. And, you can give a man a fish, or you can teach him to fish, and he can feed himself all day long for the rest of his life. So I wanted to actually step into the role of teaching and empower people to not just go and pay someone else, but to learn how to do these things that are going to be transformational to your business. And that's when I made the shift to actually teaching, no more done for you, straight coaching and consulting, and people have loved it, and my results have been phenomenal. And it's a great empowering place for me to be as well.
Awesome, that's great. And through your journey, I mean, it almost sounds like you went through a journey of self-discovery. Figuring out what exactly you wanted. When you coach people, what kind of sense do you get? Like, are they self-aware? Do they know exactly what they want? Because I've had my own conversations with entrepreneurs, both existing and aspiring entrepreneurs. So I have my own take on things, but I would like to learn from you. Like, what do you think? The entrepreneurial community, are they self-aware? Do they know where they are going?
Well, it depends, right? I mean, it's a great question. I always say that for entrepreneurs who have an established business, but they're on burnout or they don't know where to go, distraction is typically their biggest bottleneck. So the reason why people don't get ahead is because they lack focus. So in a sense, people are unclear. They don't know where they want to go. They just want to make money and they want to make an impact and they want to have a great life for their family. So that is definitely a big wound for a lot of entrepreneurs. That is different than someone who maybe is just thinking of starting a business and is like, wow, I could do drop shipping. I could be an Amazon reseller. I could be an affiliate marketer. I could have a brick and mortar. They're really just trying to figure out what is the thing. Most of the time when people come to me, they already are in the service-based business. So whether they're doing stuff for people, like branding work, or I have a client who's a 7-figure call center, so they're doing things, or they're providing the training, they're the coach, they're the consultant. Those are the ones that need more focus on their go-to-market strategy than the other entrepreneurs who are just trying to figure out where is my genius and which out of the hundreds of things I could do to make money would be the one that's going to be most fulfilling.
I see. So, so you help them out with that process as well, figuring out exactly what they want to do.
No, I don't work too much with total beginner stages. I mean, mostly what I do is work with people with an established business who are ready to scale. So that's more of my market. Occasionally, I'll take someone who has exited the corporate world and I know has the skill set to translate that into a coaching or consulting business, and I will take them on as a client. But for the most part, I'm really taking people who are either at 150K or less, and then in some cases $250,000 and less, and I'm helping them scale that to 7 figures.
Got it. And after having worked with so many entrepreneurs, like, can you share with us what are some of the typical mistakes people make, or maybe even if you're bold enough, maybe you can share some of the mistakes you made early.
Sure. Oh, yes, I'm an open book. Well, like we talked about already, distraction, shiny object syndrome, trying to do too many things, Jill of all trades or Jack of all trades. You have to focus. You have to streamline everything. You don't want 7 or 10 different offers or trying to perpetually launch a new course or program. You need to focus on a high value offering, high ticket offering, 10K and up. Because that's going to give you the most cash flow and also the greatest results with your clients, because you're going to give them a lot of handholding in that process. So that's a huge one. Focus on just a couple of platforms. Most people aren't ready to do all the things that the advanced digital marketing stuff that they're trying to implement, where you have 100 different funnels or webinar and Facebook ads or all of those things that are awesome tools. If you don't have your offer, the basics, your offer, your messaging, your positioning, your audience right, none of that stuff's gonna work, and it's gonna leave you just more frustrated and a lot more broke. Okay. So as unsexy as it may be, the foundational stuff is actually what will get you to go further faster. So kind of save all that other things, as great as they are, as cool as they are. I know a lot of people who have all those things who aren't making any money. So focus on relationship equity, building rapport, getting on phone calls with people that you can help, and bringing them into your programs.
Sounds good. So it sounds like a lot of research work, a lot of groundwork to exactly understand, as we were talking earlier, like exactly what you're doing, who you're serving, and all that.
Absolutely.
I see. Now, the whole market a few years ago with the online courses, coaching, it was kind of new, and people were, finding it easy to enroll clients. But now, the market is full of coaches and consultants. Have you found any difference, as in, like, is the market getting saturated, or do you think there is still quite a bit of room for people to jump in?
There's enormous opportunity for people to jump in. I think what we see is we've seen an influx of lifestyle type coaching that people are selling 3,000 to 5,000 on. You can get rich or be rich having this lifestyle coach business where you're working from your laptop in Bali, right? That is prevalent, and there's a lot of people marketing to people who are kind of just trying to find a side business. Where I see the real opportunity, and where I focus my clients and myself, my own marketing in, is positioning real expertise. And so I don't want to work with someone who took a $50 life coaching course over the weekend who works as a barista.
Yeah.
They will buy the lifestyle coaching programs. What I want to work with and the people that I help are people that have real experience, real education, a real skill set, a real passion. And we're going to take all of that knowledge and skills and expertise that they acquired in their 15 years at their job or whatever it may be. And we're going to translate that into knowledge, into training, into coaching, into mentoring. The real opportunity, guys, is there is so many people out there, 7-figure businesses, 8-figure businesses, they need help. Yeah. And those lifestyle coaches are not going to be marketing to them. So that's where we see the influx, I think, and where the real opportunity is going after bigger, even small businesses, small to mid-sized businesses, and then after higher level entrepreneurs, people that made 6 figures in their job. They're of a different mindset than they are of people that are working as a barista who took a life coaching course. Does that make sense? It's like
of course. Yeah.
2 different things.
Yeah, of course. Now, follow up to that question is, again, I talk to similar people and they have wealth of experience and knowledge, but there is a mental aspect to they have some mental blocks where the biggest one is imposter syndrome. Like most of the time they think, everybody knows all this stuff. This is basic stuff, right? And how do you deal with that when you come across these mental blocks in people where, in your opinion, they have something really valuable to share with the world, but since they have been doing it for so long, it has become second nature to them. So it's like, they think that it's just like everybody knows all this stuff.
Right. Well, we are blind to the things that we're innately great at. And so one of the first things I do is, I go right in with questions. I want to know what they make, what they want to make, what their pain points are, but I also want to know what their biggest wins are. So if someone comes to me that is struggling with the concept of moving from charging $100 an hour to charging $1,000 an hour, one of the things I'll ask is, tell me about some of your biggest wins. And it's pretty mind-blowing because some of these people have literally made companies millions of dollars, or they've reworked things on an operational standpoint and saved hundreds, if not thousands of hours in R&D. So, which translated to, way more productivity, therefore way more profitability. So when you can show them like, wow, you did this and you're charging you did this and you're charging this, that there is a big gap. And if you can make a company millions of dollars or save them thousands of hours and R&D time, is that worth $1,000 an hour? Yeah. Yes. Is it worth them paying you $100,000 to work with you for the year? Yeah. And then you start to speak to their logical mind and they're saying, oh my gosh, yes, it's, of course, they should pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm going to make them millions, of course. And so it's really like pulling out their greatest wins and showing them that, wow, you are changing lives. And it doesn't have to always be monetary. I talk about this a lot. But showing them that the sheer value of what they do is so great, and that there is a disparity between the value of what they do and the results that their clients get and what they're actually charging. And we have to close that gap and create congruency and alignment.
Awesome. That's great. And now comes the next part, which is, sales and marketing, which I guess you're an expert at. And typically, when we go on social media, as you said, like there are typical sort of strategies people are selling and buying, with funnels, webinars, email marketing. So in your opinion, somebody who's not familiar with the online world, how the marketing works, what should be their next step once they figure out, okay, I have a skill set and I can package it? What should be their next step in terms of, getting clients, marketing themselves and all that?
Well, simplicity is going to trump complexity every time. So don't worry about the funnels or the bots or anything where you're trying to automate like your time and energy. Right now, you need to roll up your sleeves and do the work. You get on the platforms where they're hanging out and you start to build connections. You build your audience, and you do it without being spammy or icky or salesy. Do not assume that every person you connect with even needs your help. They are not going to buy from you if you make them a bunch of promises or start to pitch them right away. So focus on building rapport and the relationship. and give a ton of value. You know, one of the things where people are struggling is because they're constantly selling. So you need to flip that on its head. Instead of being like, what can I get from someone? Think about what you can give. And I promise that when you focus on what you can give, you will close hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes in a week, of new clients, because you're showing up differently and you're valuing that relationship and you're treating it with care and love. You're doing unto others as you wish them to do unto you. And so focus on building your audience, focus on building your credibility, focus on giving value and creating massive relationship equity.
Awesome. And then the next question is, I mean, that's solid advice. So thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Now, the next question is, you know, as you said, like we only have a limited number of hours, and now we are trying to transition. In some cases, like we are working a 9-to-5 job, and then trying to set up a side hustle business, and you know, learn all these new paradigms. How do you allocate the time to build these connections? And let's ask that question first, and then I have to follow up on that as well.
Why don't you just dedicate an hour a day? I mean, an hour a day to reach out, to make the connections. You can have 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. So even just an hour a day, I tell that to my clients, and they're busy business owners who run successful companies already. Just take an hour a day of your time to connect. And it's about quality over quantity. It's not about massively adding people, which is going to get you banned anyway from platforms like LinkedIn. It's about building the right connections the right way with that right level of integrity and respect to the relationship.
Got it. And then the follow-up was, how do you target them? Because LinkedIn, I guess, you know, we can talk about that. I think there is some capability there to target.
Yes.
But let's say on Facebook and other platforms, it's very hard to find the right target, and then you may end up wasting a lot of time talking to people you're not really aligned with. Yeah.
Well, my first thing would be on the platforms where your ideal clients are. You know, I ditched Instagram as part of my strategy after spending time and money on it. And it's not that there aren't people on there. It just doesn't make as much sense for me. So I focus on LinkedIn and Facebook. You're 100% correct. That Facebook does not have the search capabilities that LinkedIn does, and the targeting, which is why I love LinkedIn. It's one of the many reasons I love LinkedIn. But Facebook does have ways where you can, if you understand who your avatar is, to find those people. A lot of them are hanging out in the mega Facebook groups, but you won't always know, because a lot of people are, you know, showing up one way and actually something completely different online. So it does make it a little bit tougher to do that. But I think one of the great things you can do with Facebook is create a Facebook group, drive people in it that you believe are relevant, and at least start to be able to create more of a community there. And the people that are right are going to move on to a call, if that makes sense.
That's cool. That's cool. And now the other aspect is, you know, a lot of people, and I struggled with it, and that's why I'm asking the question. People who are introverted, people who are not, like, you know, people who are not typically people, I guess. How do they have these kind of conversations online? And especially because, you know, obviously there is no emotion, there's no body language, there's nothing, and all you have is text chat. How do you like sort of get somebody interested in what you're trying to do and get to know them? Do you have any formulas, any scripts, any advice on that?
Well, you know, a lot of people do struggle with this. They might not be as eloquent on video, and, you know, they're more, their strong suit is writing. So play to your strengths. You know, if you're terrible and you freeze on video and you're stumbling all over yourself, I still want you to practice it, but maybe don't publish it. But there's plenty of coaches that I know that their strength is writing, and copywriting is one of the most powerful skill sets any entrepreneur can learn. It's why I have a copywriting critique workshop every single month in my programs. It's that powerful. So start to sharpen your skills as a writer. And I know coaches who that's their primary way, is they write and write and write and write. So if you're going to go the method of writing instead of doing video, because maybe you're more of an introvert, or you don't have the skill set to feel really confident on camera, then you're going to have to double or even triple down on your writing skills, because you don't have that.
Got it, got it.
And not just writing kind of boring research type articles, but actually really understanding copywriting and being humorous and, like letting your personality come out through the words. So that is my advice for the introverted entrepreneurs.
Awesome. That's great. And now there's another challenge, people face, and I'm bringing it up because I have gone through several iterations of this process. And once you learn how to have a conversation, you get people on the call, you find out that, there's a confusion, there's a miscommunication. They're trying to sell you something, you're trying to sell them something. And so, you end up in this weird conversation. So how do you qualify the people who are getting on the call to make sure that, there is alignment there and we know exactly what we're going to talk about?
Well, I personally don't get on the phone with anybody who requests on LinkedIn. The only time I get on the phone is if, it's a podcast opportunity or someone who's inquiring about my services. And the way that I do that is I make them fill out an application. Okay. And based on what they fill out in that application, if they don't meet the requirements, then they don't actually even get to my booking call. So I have a little bit of sophistication built into my application forms. Mm-hmm. So they have to fill out an application, and then they have to meet the qualifications to actually get to the book a call portion of that. So that's how I create that. So I'm very clear that anyone on my calendar is not there to pitch me anything, but rather they're there inquiring about my services. Yeah. I make them do a little work, because then if they're not willing to do a little work now, they're definitely not going to do work as a client. So it's important.
So, so that's good, but the thing is, somebody who's starting off may not have that luxury, right? Like people who may not even know that this person is able to help them. So let alone going through the trouble of filling out a form, they may not even give them a second chance. So in this scenario, most people say, okay, I just want to have a call with you. Maybe there will be something that comes up. So did you go through that sort of transition period, or you asked your clients or prospects to fill out the form even when you were starting off?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you just have there's so many people who want to have the coffee chats on LinkedIn or they want us to talk about collaboration opportunities, but they don't know anything about you. You don't know anything about them. I personally ignore that when anybody reaches out to me and says, hey, looks like we could help each other, because you're trying to build a referral relationship with someone you don't even know. I mean, the people I personally refer to are ones that I've worked with, that I've vetted, so that to me, that's a losing game. It might work for some people, but it doesn't work, for me. What I'm saying is, rather than just trying to push somebody to a call that you meet right away, give them value and show them what you do. They should be clear before they get on the phone with you. They should be clear on what you do. They've read your articles, they've watched your videos, they've read your posts, and they've said, hey, I'm interested in learning more. They've raised their hand. Then, they need to answer some questions so that you don't find yourself on a coffee chat, or on the worst, being on the end of a sales conversation that you never signed up for.
I see. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is personal branding. And okay. you mentioned a few things around that, like, publishing articles and all that. Yes. But tell us, what do you mean by personal branding? You have built a huge brand, very well recognizable brand. So tell us, what are the ingredients that go into, building such a brand?
Well, it comes down to, what are your values, and do they align with the desires of your target market? So you need to bring those to the forefront of everything that you do. And that should be reflected in your messaging. It should be reflected in your imagery, your brand images. So it's more than just the visuals, it's what you say, and it's everything being in alignment. For example, you don't want to say that you market to 7-figure companies and then you're kind of posting pictures of you all disheveled. Like, you need to look the part and embody that of your brand. If you're hey, I'm just the average Joe helping out the average Joe, then your clothing and all of that should reflect it. So it's about having congruency with your messaging and your brand visuals and your photography, having that all be congruent and in alignment with both your own values and the desires of your target market, and how you actually help them.
Got it. And what about the use of technology? As we discussed earlier, most people are trying to go towards automation and
yes.
Building all these funnels and all that. what role should technology play in your opinion in building a business and marketing things and sales operations and whatnot?
Right. Well, technology is a huge part of my business, as is automation. Most people try to automate too soon. So obviously you want to automate things like your scheduling link. You want to make sure people can easily book with you. But as far as the next level stuff, I mean, building your email list funnels, automating your drip campaigns, you get to my level, and we're doing workflows in Asana and Slack, and we have technology as a huge part of it. But for now, just keep it simple. Have your scheduling link. Have a way to meet people, whether that's Skype or Zoom, and focus on pushing them people onto a call. You really don't need anything fancy beyond that for the beginning stages of your business.
Cool. And the theme of the show is bootstrapping. So can you speak a little bit about that? Like how much money do you need? How much investment do you need? Do people need to raise money externally, put their house on mortgage or whatever? So how can they get started?
Well, it depends on, the type of business. If you're doing coaching, consulting, the cost to enter is much lower than if you want to create a product that you have to get patented and all of that. So, I've seen people start businesses on all kinds of things. I think I started my business on, probably $5,000. Mm-hmm. So can you bootstrap it? Yes. Do you want to be comfortable? 50,000 to 100,000 is going to give you a lot more runway than trying to do it on 5,000. So if you can get a loan or a line of credit, those are going to just give you more breathing room than trying to charge $5,000 on your credit card. So the answer still is it depends. No matter which way you choose to go, best value is mentorship, someone who's been there before that can fold time for you, and then being very discerning about other expenditures. So a lot of people, when they're under 100K and they start to make money, they want to scale. I want to scale. I want to scale. Everybody's ready to 10X, and just know that is not going to work, most likely, and to just look at the long-term strategy. So if you can make 100 grand this year, you can make 300 grand the next year. You can, you know what I mean? You can start to really increase, but a lot of entrepreneurs under 100K overspend in the first year or two, and that keeps holding them back because they have enormous debt. Yeah. And then they've got taxes, and so they're not even seeing anything from the money and the energy that they're putting out.
Yeah, that's so true. And now, what about, you mentioned loans and everything. And
yes,
one other thing that holds people back is the fear of failure or fear of rejection. And so, when we talk about taking a loan, what if I fail and I have to, I have a huge loan now. How do you recommend people overcome that fear?
Well, everything is an investment. So you could buy a house and lose your job, and there's no certainty, right? and be upside down on your mortgage. So nothing is certain. The only thing that is certain is that you have the ability to take action and change your life. So if you want to be a business owner and have more predictability in the long-term outcome of your life, like your trajectory. We know that in the first couple of years, it's a little bit up and down, but if you want to build something that is sustainable and scalable and move beyond what you've made at your job, then that is entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And so it does require some risk, and you might fail, and you're going to fail forward. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to pick yourself up and be able to build again. Most millionaires aren't even created till after the age of 45. So if you're like, oh man, I'm so far behind. No, I mean, many people fail, and they fail tremendously before they ever succeed. But when they do succeed, they're creating a legacy for their family and for many generations to come. So think about it like that.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us. And
you're welcome.
A very enlightening conversation. Now, before I let you go, can you tell us how people can reach out to you?
Absolutely. You can join my Facebook group, Coaches Scaling to 6 and 7 Figures. You can also find me on LinkedIn or at jessicayarbrough.com.
Awesome. That's great. So we'll put those links in show notes so that people can reach out to you easily.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you so much. And that's all for now. Until next time. Now, if you're an entrepreneur or a career professional, then I invite you to join our growing community. Navigate to bootstrapping.group. As a welcome bonus, you will get the Startup Founders Technology Accelerator video series and Mastering Your Inner Game video series absolutely free. This series of short videos address some core issues which are instrumental in helping you move forward in your business or career. The videos are yours to view and share for free. No obligations or strings attached, except for one. You have to take action and implement it. So join us today. Navigate to bootstrapping.group. If you want more engaging videos and insightful interviews with industry's thought leaders, then check out the other videos we have picked for you. The link is right there. And if you want to be notified about our new content, please do consider subscribing to our channel.